Do you like quick horror films? Do you like Sydney Sweeney? Do you like creepy churches and nuns that are just waiting for the next savior of the world? Well, I've got the movie for you. We're going to be reviewing Immaculate right now.
Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Rant podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, and welcome back for another episode. As always, I'm your wonderful host, Mr. Rant, and we are going to be diving into Immaculate. Now, I must say, Sydney Sweeney has had a very interesting start to this year. It's only March, and she's already pumped out 3 films, which one is absolute total bomb with Madam Web. One did fantastic. One also did fantastic with a rom-com. And then we've also got this, so she might have nothing else. I don't know, but I don't think she's got anything else coming out for the rest of the year because she's got 3 movies right now. So she's had a really good start to 2024. And as I mentioned, this film only goes for 89 minutes, so it's a quick horror film. So when I saw the runtime for this, which I would like to say thank you very much for Studio Canal for sending me the tickets for this film, I saw the runtime and I had to check twice because I'm so used to movies being 2 hours or Dune being 3 hours. So seeing a movie that's only 89 minutes long, which made me think of Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage, which seemed to be so quick. I was like, yeah, okay, this should be interesting because it's not very often you get a quick horror film or I'd say a tight film in that time frame on this type of scale. Maybe, yes, very small indie flicks, something like a love story or a simple story, yes, that's long, but usually a horror film is a lot longer than this. But this horror film, compared to what we've seen recently, that's recently come out, this is more of a grounded horror story in the sense, like, there's no CGI in this. Little to absolutely none. There's no monster. There's no, evil, superstitial, anything like that. This is more just showing you how creepy people can be when they're really invested in their religion and, their world can be saved by the next savior of the world. But how do you get the next savior of the world? So this movie is directed by Michael Mohan, and interesting enough that he actually received a text from Sydney Sweeney saying, do you want to make a horror flick? Which this horror flick is actually under one of her production, 50/50 Productions, this film is actually under. And she wanted to, her and Michael wanted to make a film that was a horror flick, but a little bit different, something that can stand the test of time and not fold into the fodder of, being too super CGI or anything that type of level. Something a little bit more grounded. It was very, I'd say a bit old school kind of style. Now, before we go any further, as I always say, spoilers, left, right, and center. So if you haven't gone and seen this film, go check it out and come back to this review in case if you've missed something in the film. And if you have seen it, let's chat about it. So this film starts with a very grim scene in which a young nun is trying to escape from this church. Opening scene seems a little bit fine. She tries to escape. She doesn't. These nuns rock up out of nowhere. She almost escapes, breaks her leg, and buries her alive. So that is the premise. That is the first 10 minutes in this film. And you're just looking going, okay, evil nuns, don't trust them. They'll break your legs and bury you alive. Straight after that, something is very sinister. So after that, we get introduced and see Sydney Sweeney's character, Sister Cecilia, which is the reason she's going to this church, this convent in Italy, is because she receives an invite from Father Sal to come and join. She's turned to religion because she feels like God has given her a purpose after an accident she had when she was a kid in which she fell through the ice in the lake, she was dead, legally dead for about 7 minutes, and they brought her back to life. So she's looking for purpose. And of course, Father Sal happens to give that purpose out of nowhere because he's really nice. And already when you get first introduced to him, you're like, you're creepy as shit. There's something wrong with you. And she gets introduced to all the sisters, and then basically this church tends to nuns that are in her last day. So they're obviously folding out clothes, how to kill animals, how to tend to the elderly, which is kind of gross with what they'll talk about for a briefly second. And Sydney Sweeney, as character Cecilia, does make her friends with Gwen, and she starts learning everything. But as the story progresses very quickly, I might add, but not, I wouldn't say it's not too quickly. Like, it's not like, oh wow, quick, next scene, next scene, next scene. Like, it is evenly, even though it's 89 minutes, it's an evenly paced film all the way. And later in the film, it actually breaks up into trimesters, because what happens with Sydney Sweeney's character is that she starts feeling sick, she throws up, and the older father, Sal, and the mother all get together and tell her that she is pregnant. Cue title card, Immaculate. Right there. Immaculate conception, because you find out she's had no prior relations, she's a virgin, and she starts to get treated by like the Virgin Mary. Oh, the immaculate son that's going to happen. But she finds out, and she's trying to struggle with that. She also finds someone deep below in the church crying with these weird like red masks. Or these nuns have red masks, and they've got like the nail that was in one of the nails that was in Jesus Christ all that time ago when he was nailed on the cross, which she also finds awfully weird. But as it is continue on, there's another girl called Mary that she gets introduced to. She tries to kill her because of the fact she's saying, it was meant to be me, it was meant to be me, and tries to kill her. She gets separated. 2 minutes later, jumps off of the roof of the church, and boom, she's out very quickly. And it starts like thing. It was like, what does she mean by it was meant to be her? So these things just start getting creepy, things getting weird. So we do get some like jump scare parts. What's happening? Everyone's acting like, oh no, she's fantastic. She's doing this. She's doing great. But people are still acting weird with it. So she tries to have a miscarriage and tries to escape pretending with chicken blood, which she almost gets away. Unfortunately, she doesn't. She gets caught out thanks to one of the mothers. Then she gets taken to this really creepy lab underneath the church. And why underneath the church? This lab, you find out Sal was actually, he was actually biology, genetics. He loved that. And then he moved to here. And of course, as all good scientists, he says that iconic line of, they didn't agree with my methods, so I have to find somewhere that could allow my creativity to grow. And you know what you can find on a nail of Jesus Christ? Of course, you can find samples of their blood and everything like that. And we've been doing this for 20 years, and we've been had multiple different fails again and again and again. So the reason why she's meant to be the next savior is because the fact that it actually worked this time, and she's having this baby. And then you also find out why she gets crossed out. Crossed out be the right word. She gets crossed with a fire poker, which she sees earlier because of the other nuns she saw, and yeah, it does look so painful on what's happening on that. I was like, I had to take my feet. That looks a bit painful into this. So that doesn't work out for her. Also, her best friend Gwen starts talking to her and says, this place is crazy and we have to get out here, get off me. All this because they're trying to grab her, trying to keep her quiet, which Sydney Sweeney character tries to find her later on. While rogering over a couple other things. Finds her, you see her tongue get cut off because these evil nuns have got to her. That's creepy as shit with all this. It's probably creepy is probably the best way I could describe this entire film. The creepy side of things are doing that. And then later on, we hit the first trimester, second trimester, and this is the third trimester. So she's very heavily pregnant at this point. And then she still wants to, of course, escape. So she goes on an absolute killing spree. And this is one of the best things about Sydney Sweeney. She conveys the emotional roller coaster of like innocence to what the hell is going on, to help me, to I'm going to murder everyone that's done me wrong. So she straight up kills the mother, beats her to bloody death, and also mentioned this movie is MA rating, so there is a lot of blood in it and a lot of like decapitation of the tongue. Yeah. So keep in mind of that. She kills the mother, and then she goes kills the older father, chokes him straight up to no end, and then she goes to blow up the lab, which she gets in a scuffle with Sal. Which this is the rule of the part I was a little bit weird about. So she goes in the lab, puts ethyl liquid all over the lab, and then has a struggle with him, traps him inside, and lights it all up to hell fire. There's a slight explosion, things are blowing off, but he survives that somehow. He gets out a locked door with this whole thing blowing up, so somehow he gets out. So then we have this cat and mouse in the catacombs underneath the church, which you find Gwen, and she's very, very dead, and they killed her, and she ain't coming back. So this whole cat and mouse situation going on, and which at the end she finds this little hole that she can get out. She runs for it really quickly, but unfortunately Sal catches up to her. His face is half melted. He's like, "Oh, I got you now. We're going to do this," because she's in labor at the moment. She's about to have the baby. Then he tries to cut her open. Yeah, I'm not joking. He tries to go out. We see it slightly, which is a little bit creepy going on. But then, of course, Sydney Sweeney makes sure that she kills the third person, grabs the nail or the stake from Jesus Christ right through his neck. So long, Sal. And she does escape. But then she gives labor to the savior baby. But how the baby is making sounds is really creepy, really weird. But before that, we get her giving birth, which only goes for about 4 minutes. But as I was watching it, I was like, it's just her screaming at the screen for 3 minutes, but it feels like 30 minutes. Just screaming, which she does great. But I was a bit like, okay, this is going on for a little bit longer than I would want it to. But okay, she gives birth to the baby. And she cuts the umbilical cord with her mouth and her teeth. If you're still following me, that's correct. And then, because this baby's making some weird noises, she walks away, grabs a rock, puts it really high, and end scene. You hear the squish, and that's how the movie ends. Immaculate. So, 89 minutes, it's reasonably paced, it's that dark, it's that creepy, but at the same time, for a horror flick, it's not... I'd say this isn't the scariest horror film I've seen recently. It's not something I found a little bit like, wow, yeah, that was just intense horror flick. It's not like that. Probably the standout of this film is Sydney Sweeney. She does this fantastic. I think if she continues this run, so obviously she's just done superhero, she's just done rom-com, she's just done horror. I definitely could see her doing another horror flick. I'm curious to know what she would do with maybe in more of a darker tone kind of horror flick. I think that would be really cool to see. But she does it fantastic. I can see why she wanted to do one, and she just pulls it off fantastic. Is this a film I ever am going to watch again? No. But are you looking for a new horror film? Are you looking for a quick horror film? Are you looking for one that's not reliant on CGI and special effects? And you're just looking for something, again, more nuns and churches, as I mentioned, just like The Nun 2. And there's another movie that's coming out that was a trailer for, that was again, The First Omen, that was a trailer for. I was like, well, this is I like it happen in a church. I think it just goes terribly wrong. But yeah, I'm Curious to know what you were thinking about the film. Like, have you seen this? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think about the runtime? What kind of movie would you like to see Sydney Sweeney attack next? Like, do you want to take another step of rom-com, another superhero, or do you think she should do more horror? I'm very curious to know. But yeah, this film, like I said, I won't come back to this. I will not watch this again. If it's on TV, I probably would. I went with my sister and she watched it as well. She's a big horror fan, and she said it wasn't the worst, and she seemed better. For me, I'm about the same. Like, it's not the worst. Like, don't get me wrong. Madam Web is absolute horse shit. This movie is solid. I still liked it, still enjoyed it. I just think it was just a little bit too short, and yeah, there's a couple of things missing, whether that be a little bit more darker tone, a little bit more horror, that kind of element that could have gone. Not saying I had to go the special effects route, but just something that a little bit darker, I would have been happy with. But as always, let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. I'm always up for a rant, as you always know. And as always, thank you very much for coming past. And until next time, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.